Morning, everyone. I would like to call this meeting of the House Game and Fisheries Committee to order. We have 2 bills on the main agenda. We have 2 on other business today we will be going through. Aaron, please take the roll call.
Chair Coolidge,
Here,
Rep Davison,
here,
Rep Doherty,
here,
Rep Gungenauer,
here,
Rep Gentz, Rep Haddock,
here.
Rep Harris, Rep Hohenstein,
Here,
Rep Inglis,
here,
Rep Kazim,
here,
Rep Mirsky, Rep Resnick,
here.
Rep Steele,
Yeah, I saw it.
and Rep Young.
Here,
Chair Maloney,
Here.
Rep Anderson, Rep Banta, Rep Cook, Rep DeVanzo,
Designation.
Rep Kerwin, Rep Kuzma,
Designation.
Rep Labs,
Designation.
Rep Olsummer, Rep Reichert,
Designation.
Rep Smith,
Designation.
Rep Wentling. Okay, we have a quorum.
thank you. The chair calls up House Resolution 356, printers number 2513 from Representative Haddock. Paul, would you read a summary of the resolution?
This resolution would designate November 3rd, 2025 as Pennsylvania Elk Hunt Day in celebration of the 25th anniversary of the reinstatement of elk hunting in Pennsylvania in the first regulated elk hunt in the Commonwealth in over 100 years.
The question is, will the committee report the resolution? I am offering Amendment A02130. Will the committee agree to the amendment on that question? Paul, would you please read a summary?
This amendment would change the date from November 3rd to December 27th, 2025 as Pennsylvania Elk Hunt Day.
Any debate on the amendment? Are there any no votes on the amendment? Hearing none, the amendment passes. Any debate on the resolution?
Comment?
Comments? Anybody? Chair Maloney?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Pennsylvania has always been a terrific, pride in many respects to what we have and what we can have. This going back to 25 years is something that is very much supported, and I would be remiss if I didn't take the opportunity to tell you that there has been tremendous concerns with the process. So I thought I would start with the legislative language of how this was started. The commission shall hold a random drawing of applications for the issuance of elk license under this subsection at the Elk Country Visitor Center in the township of Benezet. I probably don't have to tell you that is not done. Shocker. So I want to tell you about a few things that have been my concern probably from the day I came here, and for those that I listened to statewide with respect to their passions about hunting in Pennsylvania and their concerns. We have a lot of comparisons with other states. The PGC does not publish the names of tag winners. This is a practice observed by a number of other states. If the winners are unknown, entrants and the general public have little basis on which to be confident that the lottery has been conducted in an above-board manner. In recent years, third-party non-government entity has published the names of the Pennsylvania elk tag winners, providing at least some information to entrants and the general public. However, this list is not guaranteed to be accurate, not guaranteed to be published, and not guaranteed to have continued availability, can be withdrawn at any time. These are some of the notes that I have had a concern with and thought it would be a good time to make sure that my colleagues and those who are not familiar with this would understand. PGC does not officially publish lottery statistics, while a number of other states do, in some cases, publish extensive information. The PGC does not conduct the elk lottery drawing in public during the annual Elk Expo at the Elk Country Visitor Center, nor does it preserve a public record of the lottery. If not in the letter, the spirit of the game code requires the PGC to hold the drawings in public. That's why I read the statute. Although the winners of the elk tag drawing are announced publicly at the annual Elk Expo at the Elk Country Visitor Center in Benezet, the actual drawing occurs before the expo several days prior to the announcement. The announcement of winners is live streamed by the PGC, but the lottery drawings are not. The video of neither event is available to the public for review. I probably don't have to tell you, or those that pay attention to this, that there has been some media coverage of individuals who have pulled a tag. How about the fact that we have a hunting media personality won a public elk tag after winning a very high-profile, low-odds tag in another state? We have individuals within the Game Commission that are actually employed with multiple family members with tags. How do you think this sits with the public and the sportsmen of Pennsylvania when there's zero transparency to the accuracy and what you can expect even with so-called preferred points? Preferred points, my friends, means nothing. 25 years of pulling points means nothing. And I can tell you that my desire is that this will stop and that we will get to the bottom of it and that there will be an investigation. And transparency is what we boast about many times, but we don't do. So I certainly support this resolution. I appreciate the patience of the sportsmen in Pennsylvania. And I certainly hope that this is the beginning of a deep dive as to why this procedure is not right. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you, Chair. Appreciate your comments. And I'd like to also say I appreciate Representative Haddock bringing this resolution to the committee. I'm very proud of our elk population and the work that is being done at the Elk Center in Benezet. It's a fantastic place to visit. I know they get over 500,000 visitors a year up there, and it is, again, a source of pride in Pennsylvania that we have this population. Are there any negative votes on the resolution? Seeing none, the resolution passes. The resolution will be reported as amended. Thank you. The chair calls up Senate Bill 533, Printers Number 519 from Senator Robinson. Paul, please read a summary of the bill.
This legislation provides for a military event license exemption permit that exempts members of the armed forces who have received a Purple Heart and disabled veterans from license and permit fee requirements when participating in Pennsylvania Game Commission permitted events.
Thank you. The question is, will the committee report the bill? Are there any comments or debate on this bill? Seeing none, thank you. I appreciate Senator Robinson bringing this bill up again this session, and we look forward to it passing through the House. Are there any negative votes on this bill? Seeing none, the bill passes. The bill will be reported as committed. Thank you. We are now moving, we concluded our main agenda. We are now moving to other business. On that, the chair calls up House Bill 961, Printers Number 1038 from Representative Mihalik. Griffin, will you please read a summary of the bill?
Yes, Chair. House Bill 961 amends Title 30, Fish, Section 3510, the marking of dams. This legislation addresses the marking of run-of-the-river dams through the setting of clear timelines for DEP actions and dam owner compliance, requiring lists and maps of these dams to be publicly available on DEP's website, and addresses some outdated phrasing within existing law.
Thank you. The question is, will the committee report the bill? On that, the chair recognizes Representative Mihalik.
Thank you, Chair Kulik, and thank you, Chairman Maloney, members of the committee. I really appreciate the opportunity to speak on House Bill 961. If 3.5 years ago you'd have told me that dam safety was one of my top legislative priorities, I'm not sure that I would have known what you were talking about. I don't think dam safety is something that we all think about on a daily basis. But that all changed in May of 2022. I had a constituent and beloved history teacher at the Bethel Park High School, John Gentile, had gone to visit his parents in Bucks County and was killed in a dam in New Hope, Pennsylvania. We've got 80,000 miles of waterway in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, a significant amount of recreational activity, and we need to ensure that people are safe out there. And sometimes the simple act of warning that there is a danger ahead is all it takes. And in John's case, there was no warning, there were no signs, there was no indication that he was going to be passing over a very dangerous dam. In 1998, the first time that dam safety had really been addressed through ways of marking these dams through an addition to Title 30, which was really the only time that this has been addressed legislatively. In that existing law, it is already required that run-of-the-river dams be marked by the Pennsylvania Fish and Boat Commission. However, they cannot mark what they do not know is there. The easiest way, these are maybe Griffin's words, but the easiest way I think to understand what House Bill 961 seeks to do is to remember that the DEP is tasked with assessing the safety of the dam structure itself, and the Pennsylvania Fish and Boat Commission is responsible for the safety of the boaters. So there are two separate, but I think complementary duties, and House Bill 961 inspires cooperation and coordination that sometimes has existed in the past, but oftentimes has not. And I use Lowhead Dam and run-of-the-river interchangeably, but just for technical purposes, it's kind of like calling all sparkling wines champagne. A run-of-the-river dam is defined in the Dam Safety and Encroachment Act, and we further define it in House Bill 961 to ensure that DEP is taking into account not only the run-of-the-river dams, but it would also be applicable to those built only partially across the waterway. and it would require DEP to take into consideration any input from the Pennsylvania Fish and Boat Commission. While DEP has engineers on staff that would determine factors like hydraulic flow and things of that nature that would qualify something to be a low head dam or a run-of-the-river dam, it's really the Pennsylvania fish and boat officers that are out there on the waterways every single day. They know where the troubled spots are. They know, where the boaters are struggling. And sometimes those dams do not appear on the list from DEP. And if it's not on the list, it doesn't get a sign. So because the river conditions can change from one day to the next, just depending on rainfall and current weather conditions, the risk they pose can also change from day to day. And that's why it's so important to take what the fish and boat officers are seeing and their assessment into account, because they oftentimes see something that DEP did not. One example that's very close to where we're seated right now is the Dock Street Dam. It's a low head dam, and if you go right out to Front Street, you can see it. In fact, there are pictures at the downtown Hilton, all over of this dam, and you don't even realize what it is, but it has claimed the lives of 30 people to date. These dams are dangerous, and we need to do everything we can to ensure the safety of our boaters that are out there on the waterways. The amendment, and thank you, Chairman Maloney, for offering the amendment today. It further strengthens House Bill 961 by reducing some compliance deadlines and ensuring that all of the run-of-river dams are accounted for, not just the ones in that narrow definition in the DSEA. And this amendment makes it very clear that DEP must update and share their list on an annual basis with the Pennsylvania Fish and Boat Commission, and that list would also be publicly available on their website. Oftentimes, tragedy inspires solutions, and that is, definitely where we are today. I've gotten to know John's family over these past 3 years, and in my district office, his niece actually works for me, and she's present with us here today and has been an advocate for all things dam safety. And I know this is, very important to Claudia, and her uncle would be very proud of her. Additionally, maybe some of you have met John's father, Jim, who's been in the Capitol several times over the last 3 years advocating for changes to this statute, as well as his wife, Kathy, who's been a true champion for dam safety, not wanting anybody to experience what she has gone through. And she'll be watching shortly with her 10th grade class at Bethel Park High School. They're very interested in this legislation today. And of course, John's legacy, his young son, John Carlo, is turning into an amazing young man. And he's been here in the Capitol along with his family advocating for these changes. I'd be remiss to not mention Paul and Griffin, who have been just incredible resources for me. I was nowhere near a dam safety expert 3 years ago, and still I'm not, but they have gotten me up to speed and gotten a very workable product, and I'm hopeful that your committee will all be voting yes on this. Thank you.
Thank you. Chair Maloney is offering amendment A02142. Will the committee agree to the amendment? On that question, Griffin, please read a summary of the amendment.
Amendment A02142. This amendment decreases compliance timelines for owners of run-of-the-river dams to install and maintain safety signage. It requires DEP to share their compilation of run-of-the-river dams with the Fish and Boat Commission at least annually or whenever the Commission requests it. It requires that a map and list of these dams be shared publicly on both DEP and the Fish and Boat Commission's website. And it amends the definition of run-of-the-river dam to be more inclusive of dams that are partially across a waterway or only partially submerged.
Thank you. Are there any debates or comment on the amendment? Chair Maloney?
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. So tragedies, as you said, often force some sort of action. And there's probably no worse tragedy than a lost soul. So to me, I appreciate Denise being here. I appreciate the endeavor, especially going forward for those who may be spared that. I did have questions when I first saw this last year, and I don't think I was ever really sort of updated with the particulars, because there are things that we try to do to make that safety be paramount. One is communication, of course, education. Do we have any statistics relating to the deaths and life jackets? Do you know that?
So in John's case, he was wearing a life jacket. I don't know the statistics to compare, the number of low head dam deaths in Pennsylvania who was wearing a life jacket.
Right.
I do know that we lead the nation in low head dam deaths, though.
Yeah, and it's tragic. And so I would just hope that taking an initiative like this would certainly save lives, or at least bring the attention to the communication, because the DEP seems to have a problem with communication. And that's where a lot of this problem can be resolved, as you very well mentioned and explained. We need that communication between the DEP and the Fish Commission, so that I've been on the water for years, and things can change, and they can change very rapidly. Like the death in my neighborhood when we had 6.5 inches of rain in 3 hours. So all of that has a dynamic that can play into these things that are not always insulatable, if that makes sense, So I think everybody here is very compassionate about the loss, and going forward, we would certainly want that to be a part of the history, that we were aggressive to some extent to make sure that communication takes place. So thank you. Thank you for being here.
Are there any negative votes on the amendment? Hearing none, the amendment is agreed to. I know. Okay, now we will move to the bill. Are there any comments or debate on the bill? Rep. Hohenstein.
Thank you, Chair. I just more have some quick questions, because I do think this is a really good bill. I agree with you on the need for getting better coordination in dam safety. What are the positions of the respective agencies, and what, if anything, does this bill do to increase the agencies? It's not an appropriations bill, but is there anything provided here that will allow the agencies to take on these greater roles in coordination as they they pick up the idea of talking with each other a little bit more and working with each other?
If I may, this bill has been in the works for 3 years now, and over the course of those 3 years, just the conversation itself has inspired more cooperation between the DEP and the Fish and Boat Commission. I believe they're on the same page now as far as what Representative Mihalik wants, and what is best for the boaters and anglers of the Commonwealth as well. The Fish and Boat Commission worked with us extensively to draft this amendment, and one of the main elements is increasing penalties and decreasing timelines. So if you're concerned about perhaps the cost of this, if people don't comply, then there will be fines. But at this time, there's no record of anyone ever contesting the need for the signs, which is allowed by the law. You can't appeal the determination that you even need these signs, and no one ever has. Because as soon as you're told, hey, your dam is dangerous, people can look at it and generally tell.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. And again, I think it's a really good bill, and I think you're describing the process to me helps me to have even more confidence in it too. Thank you.
Director Schaefer, any comments? Any other comments? Representative Steele?
Thank you. Excuse me. Thank you, Chair. I just wanted to thank the maker of the bill because for a number of reasons. First and foremost, I grew up fooling around in the Allegheny River, maybe at places where we shouldn't have been swimming as teenagers. And I have kids that are inclined in that way also. And I think the the bill will do a lot of good to keeping people who are on the river safe. And I also just wanted to say that I think it's neat to see when something tragic happens in a representative's district, and then she kind of leads a charge, even in an area where she is not very well versed, and get something signed into law in honor of that person. And I just admire your advocacy on this, and I'm proud to vote yes for it. Thank you.
Any other comments? Representative Mihalik, I want to thank you also. You contacted me last summer with this, and we got moving on it as quickly as we could. And special thanks to the Fish and Boat Commission for getting on board with this. Paul and Griffin, thank you so much for all your work on this. And Representative, thank you. I think I was a bit taken aback to even think that we weren't marking these dams or putting signs up. So this is extremely important. We're going to get this across the line for you. We'll get it to the House floor, and then we will go work on the Senate with this. So thank you so much. All right, those in favor of reporting the bill will vote aye. Those opposed, no. Are there any negative votes on the bill? Seeing none, the bill passes. The bill will be reported as amended. Thank you, Representative Mihalik. All right, last bill. The chair calls up Senate Bill 734, printer's number 799 from Senator Rothman. Paul, please read a summary of the bill.
Thank you. This legislation provides for the America 250 Semi-Quincentennial Celebration Bell Monument on the grounds of the state capitol to commemorate the 250th anniversary of the founding of the United States, Pennsylvania's integral role in that event, and the impact of its people on the nation's past, present, and future.
Thank you. The chair is happy to call up this bill, as next year is going to be a very important year for Pennsylvania. The question is, will the committee report the bill? Any comments or debates? Chair Maloney.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I love the fact that we as Game and Fish Committee get to vote this bill out of committee. My hope is that the sportsmen get recognized on that bell, maybe with some camouflage or at least maybe some kind of sportsman's logo. Just a little thought there about how we can have another piece of the history. So it's awesome that we don't get sometimes the good pieces of stuff that might have went to a different committee, but I think it's pretty appropriate that today the sportsmen get to be the leading cause of the 250th bell. So thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Chair. Any other comments? Rep. Harris.
Yes, good morning, good morning. You know, as we come to the semi-quintessential celebration of our 250th year anniversary, will some mention in this celebration be on the Gettysburg battle? You know, because the Gettysburg battle was fought from July 1st to 3rd, and if we had lost that battle, we know slavery and indentured servitude would have continued another 100 years. So I think it's probably would be great if some of that could be mentioned in our celebration, how the Gettysburg battle was really essential in July 4th celebration. Thank you.
Well, thank you for those comments. I know that everyone is really gearing up for next year. Pennsylvania started gearing up for this a couple years ago, knowing we were getting to the point, and we know the pivotal role that this Commonwealth has played in the founding of our nation. I would suggest to all my colleagues here, I have for the past year been working in my district with my local historical societies and other civic groups to make sure that our little corner of Western Pennsylvania is recognized. I know Rep. Mihalik is in the same area I am in, and we know the rich history we have in southwestern Pennsylvania. We want that to be a big part of the celebration, as well as our eastern colleagues in Philadelphia and the role that Philadelphia played. But all throughout Pennsylvania, I would highly encourage everyone, even our Game Commission and the Fish and Boat Commission, to maybe do things to highlight the role that wildlife conservation, hunting, fishing, boating, etc., have played in the history of the United States, and especially in the history of Pennsylvania. So those are things we will be talking about coming up very soon. Let's get this bill out of committee. Those in favor of reporting Senate Bill 799 is committed will vote aye. Those opposed, no. Are there any negative votes on the bill? Seeing none, the bill will be reported as committed. Thank you for passing that out of committee. One last bit of business. I would like to call on Representative Anderson for comments.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Often in this committee, we talk regs, we talk policies, we talk in collective terms of the Fish and Boat Commission or the Game Commission. I just want to highlight some work that there are people in these commissions that are doing fantastic jobs. I know that she probably doesn't want to be recognized, but Kaylee Glock has been absolutely amazing on a project that I've been working on. A young man who is paralyzed came to me and said he's a trout fisherman. He can't trout fish anymore. And he said, you know, in Pennsylvania, there are no trout accessible streams and there's no adaptive equipment. He had to go to North Carolina to trout fish. I just think God's providence, there's a stream that's about 10 minutes away from my district office. The farmer that owns the stream contacted me and said, hey, we'd love to entertain making this a handicap only fishing area. I contacted Kaylee, and she has been so responsive and so compassionate towards this young man's story. Her and Rachel Hirsch has also been very, very responsive and helpful. My local conservation officer, Rachel Turner Diaz, they actually came out, they walked the stream with us, and it was hot. I had to do a promotional video afterwards. I should have brought another shirt, but it was hot. And we walked the stream. They have been in constant communication, but just their hearts for giving somebody accessibility to fishing is absolutely amazing. And quite frankly, I think that's what we should all be about. And they are the example of the importance of what being a sportsman means. It's much more than policies and regulations. For some of us, it has molded us in ways that we can't describe, whether it's you're spending time with your grandfather in the woods, or you're just learning growing up. And I just want to give a heartfelt shout out to Kaylee Glock's life. This young man has a renewed sense of just purpose in what we're doing. So thank you, Kaylee, for doing more than your job, and to our Rachel Hirsch and Rachel Turner Diaz for helping us out. And we're hoping that this is a movement to make fishing and other sports available to those people who love it, but because of their physical disabilities are unable to participate. So thank you.
Thank you so much for those comments. So pending any emergencies that come up with the committee or anything significant comes up with the committee, this will most likely be our last committee meeting for 2025. It's been an incredibly good year. I want to thank everybody. Going out with these bills that we are passing now for the year is fantastic. I'm really proud of all the things we've accomplished, and I'm really proud today for what we brought to the table. And I want to thank everybody. It's been a great year working with both commissions. You all have been fantastic. The directors and the staff, we've had a great year. We did a lot of fun things. We've done a lot of very productive things, and I'm grateful for that. I'm looking forward to 2026 and what we can accomplish then, and getting these bills through, too. Natalie, we're going to work really hard to get this through. So we'll go beat up the Senate after we get it off the House floor. But thank you so much, everyone. This meeting is adjourned. I guess I will see most of you next year. Thank you.